Hello. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Sharona. Sharona, you can unmute yourself. No? Second. Just a second, I'll hide.
Okay, there we
And
go.
we're on.
Good morning. Good morning, Tamar. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. So it's so nice to see you again here this morning.
Yes.
We'll start
Uh,
as usual.
Yeah, we start with our minute just to imagine that still point deep within. There is such a sacred space. It is beyond the mind, a place where I am just free from whatever the responsibilities, the concerns, expectations, or fears. A place of great quiet, gentle quiet, and light. Like settling into an inner garden, far from the hustle bustle of the city.
Even though we know the drill, it always amazes me how 1 minute, just 1 minute of remembering that we have somewhere beyond it all. And there's like quiet in the whole all the system. It's not only the mind, the system goes quiet.
Yeah. I would dare say this, all the systems go quiet because the mind has gone quiet. It's such a power place, the mind and our thoughts. And it's like we didn't empty our mind of thoughts, we just gave it an image and we gave it some thoughts which direct it to a very specific space.
Yeah.
It's so refreshing, so nourishing. Anyway, our thought for today: keep your aim and objective in front of you.
Which in Hebrew is שמרו את היעד והתכלית שלכם מולכם. And I said just by מולכם, it means in front of you is like in front of your eyes, always in front.
Yeah,
You're walking in that direction.
awareness.
Awareness.
Awareness, because that's how I would start the exploration of that point, actually. We're probably just talking about having an aim for my life. I mean, before I started my spiritual path, and even now on my spiritual path, how easily I still move through my day unguided by my aim. I'm careless about it, or I forget it, because there are so many mini aims that you can get caught up on. But to really sit down and, it's another way of saying, well, what's the meaning of my life? To get some answers for that. I call it unlimited aim, not just the limited ones to get me through my day, because if that's the only thing I'm working with, life is going to pretty quickly turn into um, a drudge, if you know that word. It's like burdensome, heavy. I will be aimless and just moving according to the winds that blow. And at this point in time, how dangerous is that?
I think that point made a big difference between my personal developmental path and my spiritual developmental path.
Oh,
Because
interesting.
because when I was on a personal develop, I was always on the lookout. What is my purpose in life? What is my aim? In meaning, it was in terms of how do I lehakshim, trying to find the word in English, you know it? Lehakshim, hakshama. How do I make my value in life?
Yeah.
Um, and there's a lot of ways to look at it and find what you are good at, what you like to do. But it was always like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do in this world? And it was like always in the back of my mind, even when I found a path and I know where I'm going, but it's still, is that what I'm supposed to do? There's always that question. And
Yeah.
then I remember when I started my spiritual path, and especially in the Brahma Kumaris, there was this point when I understood from the wisdom of the Raja Yoga that my purpose in life is to remember that I'm a soul, that who is in front of me is a soul. And I just remember that point of quietness. It didn't change the life, the working life, but it was a point of quiet, which said, that's all I need to do in life. That's easy. It doesn't matter what I do. That is easy for me to understand as a point of life, and it's not always easy to implement it.
Right.
But it is easy not to be questioning, not stop the questions. And I really remember how it made a big difference in my life that I knew no matter what I do, it doesn't matter if I be a teacher, if I be a psychologist, if anything I work, if I work as a waitress, as long as I remember, it just gave me like a quiet answer that helped me and still helps me through my days when I'm not so sure. But I remember this is my aim. So whenever I am, wherever I am, again, not as easy to implement, but easy to be going, putting it in front of you.
You know, everything's in that word implement, because this is the lesson one. It's our first lesson, a response, an investigation into the eternal question, who am I? And to experiment with this idea that I'm a configuration of energies, very high frequency energies. They can't be detected by any material, physical object, spiritual energies. That's what I am, who I am, this configuration of divine energies. And the expression of those energies are all the things we want for our life, like joy and love. We say those are energies. And to say I am a soul means love and peace and joy and all the ways that that breaks out. That's who I really am. So when you're saying that's your aim to remember, I mean, it's huge to remember this and to implement this, because if nothing else, it cuts all the programmings and conditionings of being a taker with dependencies, expectations, the whole baggage in there, which creates so much pain and suffering and sorrow when I've turned the remote control on my life over to somebody else's hands. They don't like me, and so then I'm unhappy or sad. As if I'm not made of the very energy of happiness. So to implement it is no small thing. But I also know another word for this. Another word for this. What would you say? As an aim for my life, to just know my eternal identity, my spiritual identity. I'm not the body. I'm that configuration of powerful, beautiful, divine energies. What's another word for that?
Hmm? I don't know. What do you have in mind?
Well, if it's true that as a soul, as those unimaginably beautiful energies inside me, originally, there's only love and peace and joy. I mean, if there are other things there like anger and
Hmm.
irritability and all that, it's just me. I've pulled those into the soul, and now the soul is layered. It's polluted. But if it's true that the original blueprint is not any of that stuff, and my aim is to get back to who, what, and how I am originally,
Mm-hmm.
what are we really saying here? That my aim is
To remember?
to remember. That's nice. That's practical. and and two, my aim is to
I
be
think to remember and use our powers and get
remember,
back to our
use
powers.
our power. Yeah,
Use them
right.
all the time.
That's right. That's right. I have the power to tolerate. I have the power to choose what thoughts I want to think. I have the power to know what attitude, with what meaning or intention I'm going to go into any situation. I do have this power. So imagine using these powers, imagine moving on from those wavelengths, those energies, emerge them and have that operate my life. My aim, it's a dirty word in some circles, but my aim is to be perfect.
Hmm.
Perfection. And it's funny because that was an accusation the whole time I was growing up, like you have too many ideals. You're going to make yourself sick. Nobody's perfect, and I always used to wonder about that.
Hmm.
But this is perfection. And at this point in time, such an aim, when the world clock is telling us midnight is almost finishing. Everybody's waiting for the new day to understand that it's these energies which are going to bring the light. These energies are going to bring the new day. So this kind of work to come back to who I am truly, eternally, originally, this serves the whole world. This is a role to play. And I'm not too idealistic.
You're not idealistic, but you do put a very high standard.
It's a high standard.
It's a very high standard, and I think the problem with the word perfect is when we. I'll give it from another point, from another angle, and then we'll come back to this perfect because it's really important, I think, to discuss this word. It's a very triggering word.
Yeah.
And you're right because I used to I was as I was growing up I also I remember it's perfectionism is the one word when you're supposed to say as your disadvantage when you feel a resume or something like that everybody knows. Everybody always tell me, is that true? You're supposed to put perfectionism as your disadvantage in your in your resume. And but I do want to say something about it because when you were speaking, um, and I was thinking about everything that's going on, and when okay, when a lot of people are trying to create reality, right? Or trying to understand how do I attract my reality? There's a lot of courses on it. How to bring my reality.
Yeah.
And I think when we do that, I actually realized that if we do that with the feeling that our reality is not good for us, then we're missing something.
Yeah.
It's not even wanting to do that gives you it goes the wrong way. But
It's
sometimes when people go that way, let's attract a reality, they start developing habits that are good for them in life. And I remember the day I realized that I'm doing the habits and it's good for me and it's making me happy. And I don't need it for attracting the reality. If it comes, it's nice, but I don't need it. It's just good for me, these habits to remind me, to make me happy inside, whatever. And I think that the same way about being perfect. Because if we have perfect ideals and we strive to it with a very I don't know if the word is harsh, but always comparing to these perfect ideals, and I'm not there.
Right.
That can make people even be worse because they are judgmental to themselves, because they're angry at themselves. It can attract, if you do it, it's very delicate. So I was wondering how you see it, because it can really easily attract people. And I see a lot of good people really nowadays go that path because they have their high standard. It's very difficult. I see it on myself. It's very difficult to be in the standard I was a year ago. It's difficult for me.
You know, this is a very, very important point because honestly speaking, I suffered my whole life for the fact that I I always was trying to be perfect. I felt that I should be on all levels, in relationships, in school, in my responsibilities. I suffered for it, for the reasons you're talking about and the reasons we can imagine. You know, the key that changes it from a tricky path, a path that could make life more difficult for you than it's worth. You know, the key? This is the most beautiful thing. You know, the key? The one thing that shifts the whole thing and makes it glorious and
I can tell you what it's for myself, but I really want to hear yours.
fun. Tamar, the secret, which shouldn't be a secret, but somehow still is that I am perfect. Originally, eternally, that's the blueprint. I don't have to become perfect. I am. I just have to nurture that part of me, love that part of me, talk to that part of me, cultivate that part of me as if it were different flowers in a garden. My virtues, my spiritual power, my beautiful divine energy is there. But one set of thoughts, behaviors, programmings, and conditionings kill it or bury it, and a whole nother set nurture it. So I don't have to become it. I am it. I'm a diamond that somehow got, lost in the picnic grounds, and the snows came and melted, and the mud and everything ended up just covering it completely. So what do? You just have to clear out that mud. And the most amazing thing is you don't have to clear out the mud with any technique beyond knowing there's a diamond in there and going for it.
You gave a really nice picture when you were talking. It was a nice picture that emerged in my head. And it's like, those person who clean up the diamonds. And when they take it, it doesn't seem like they have a diamond, but they
That's,
know.
that's
They
right.
know there is a diamond and they'll work the hardest they
That's
can
right.
to clean it because they know inside there is a diamond. And something can go wrong. For instance, like you said, there could be a storm for a set, and after they finished cleaning it, and it's all dirty again, and it's covered with mud again or anything, but they still know there is a diamond. And just knowing that,
That's right.
if you know you're holding the stone you're holding is a diamond worth a lot,
That's
then
right.
you'll do a lot to
That's right.
expose it.
That's right.
And you will not feel that it's worth less because it's not cleaned yet.
Exactly,
That's the
exactly,
point.
exactly. We come to appreciate the journey. We see we're working from eternity. When I know my diamond self, I'm talking about an eternal identity. So we are positioned in a more eternal picture, and we know that there's a lot to learn, and we embrace life as, one lifelong learning opportunity. But I just want to say one more thing very quickly before we finish up. Do you know how they extract impurities from gold? How
Wow.
do they purify gold, make it 9 carat or, even higher?
I heard about it once. Remind me.
Yeah, well, they don't extract the impurity from the gold. They extract the gold from the impurities. You get that?
Yeah.
They focus on the gold. They go to the rescue of the gold. They
Yeah.
don't bother with the impurities.
Hmm. So is that thought in mind?
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
And remembering that it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if the diamond is full of mud around or anything, it doesn't worth less at that moment.
No, 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 it isn't. It
It's
isn't. Very beautiful thought.
all right.
So we take our moment, and now our silence has lots of beautiful thoughts to hold and nurture our beautiful self.
Thank you very much, Alana.
Thank you, Tamar.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye for now.
Have a great day full of treasures.
Yeah. Shine, sparkle.